So Billy, we've come to see you here today in Castleisland, County Kerry.
Welcome, Bertie, yeah.
And I suppose a bit of history. I suppose we came here, I think, in 2019. Simon
Hennessy, yes.
Yeah.
Simon initially looked at the job.
Yeah. So I suppose just in terms of a bit of history for people, say how many cows you've been milking, say 10 or 15 years ago to where you are today?
Well, I'll go back further. In 2000, or in 1979, I stayed in from school. We milked 104 cows that year. And in 83, we had quotas. Our quota was cut, so we came back down in cows. So we kind of ran it around 90 to 100 cows. And then, I suppose, luckily enough, we were in Kerry, we could lease quota. So we built away. So by the time the quota's finished, I think I had 140,000 gallons of milk quota, so I was milking about 150 cows. And when the quotas went in, I was able to move on again. And I'm now milking 214 cows.
Okay. And you're working here with your son Brian?
Yeah, my son Brian is with me,
Yeah.
Full
so
time.
Good family farm?
Yeah, developing away.
Yeah.
And Brian also runs another farm across the road for a neighbour, a suckler herd as well.
Right.
So, plenty of work.
You're busy?
Kept going.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, 2019 then, I suppose the reason for the call is you were milking in a smaller parlour.
Yes, we were milking 200 cows in 2019. We had 11 units. It was an all full wood. There was nothing wrong with it. It was doing the job. But it was taking 7.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
We had 18 rows of cows.
Yeah.
And it was built in 71. Very low parlour, very warm inside in it, and the cows were very uncomfortable. You know, it wasn't built for the cows we've now.
Right.
And in 2017, we bought a farm that we had been renting for 34 years. So the priority was to buy that and get that up and running. And we couldn't do it all together. So in 2019, when the new tanks came in, we decided we'd build the parlour.
Right.
And that's how it started.
Right. And I suppose Simon went through a couple of options with you in terms of the orientation of the parlour and collecting yard and whatever.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
He gave us all the options. There was 2 or 3 options, and we kind of really knew what we wanted, but we were open-minded to anything.
Yeah.
And what we wanted was to be close to the main calving, the main housing shed, and compact, and to keep it clean. That
Yes.
we wouldn't be taking in a lot of rainwater. That
Yeah.
it would keep it. And Simon came up with what we wanted.
Very good. So I'll just get a drawing there. I have it just to give people a bit of context to it. So I suppose at a basic level, what you have is your milking parlour
Milking
here.
parlour, yes.
And you went for your
Yes,
calving
that was
area.
the existing. That was an existing tank from this shed here.
Yes.
And we built the new tank here
Yes.
to accommodate the runoff of this parlour.
Okay.
And the calving shed, and from the calf house.
Fine. Yeah, that's fine. So it just kind of gives the idea, the orientation of the projects, the new
Yes.
projects relative to each other. I suppose we'll step in here. So Billy, just to levels, we're going up steps.
That's right, yeah.
You had to work to a level, I suppose.
Yes, well, we're walking from the existing yard,
Yeah.
from the cow shed,
Yes.
and that was the plan, to keep everything level. We didn't want steps in the yard.
Okay.
And so this takes into the levels that we were to keep it level with. We had to do a bit of fill.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your dairy's here anyway on the left, and this
Yes.
sliding door here. Then, so what would you use this sliding door for typically?
It's just access if you don't want to go through the dairy, but it's just usually pedestrian. It's nothing to
Yeah.
do with
Animals. Or whatever.
animals.
Yeah.
If the vet comes, if he's milking, he can be, usually it's to the calf house, or which since we've done this job has been very little, but
Okay.
you know, it keeps it free from going into the parlour.
Right. Okay. So we'll move on in here to the parlour. So you went for 26 units.
26 units, yeah, that's as maximum we could go in the site that we had.
Yeah. So you had a couple of constraints. I think you were saying earlier. You had a tank at the back.
Yeah, we had an existing tank, so
Yeah.
that meant we couldn't go any further.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go any further this way as well. So we had a set area.
Right.
And if we went 2'6", the maximum we'd get in would be 20, and we'd be struggling to get in 20. Whereas a 2'2", we could get into 26.
Okay. And I suppose what's different here, and a lot of the reason we came here today is to see your stall work. it's a bit unique, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it was the first one in the Republic anyway.
Yeah.
There was one done in the north just before it.
Right.
And it's the DeLaval P100.
Okay.
It's the new Parlor.
Right. So for people, I suppose, maybe if you could point out the various parts in it, it's maybe the breast rail is different to what a lot of people would be used to
Yes,
seeing
there's an
as well.
adjustable breast rail in it.
Yeah.
Which we had to reset when it was put in.
Yeah.
What we found, it was up that little bit high, and it was pulling the cows in because they were trying to get in over to eat inside in the trough. But once we got it to this level, the cows it's just right for our size cow. But it's adjustable in and out, or up or down.
Okay. And since you adjusted it the first time, have you changed it since?
No, not
Just
changed it since.
That's it.
It was the heifers mainly.
Yeah.
That it was too high and it was pulling them in, trying to get in.
Yeah.
And it was pulling them too far in this way.
Right.
But it just seems to be right now.
Okay.
Right. So it's sequential baling.
Yeah.
So the first cow comes in and she has to walk all the way up to the top. And when she gets up here, she opens it for the first cow.
Okay.
And she'll open it in for the second cow.
Yeah.
So this is the beauty of this parlour. This space is just for this cow. She's not going to be squashed. She has her own space, and no one can eat in either side of her.
Right.
Ration. So when she comes in, she's totally relaxed, and I think it's just she let down her milk so freely. She's not always stressed out, and when she's here, her other is here.
Yeah.
And it's no about access to cows other.
What, a heifer in the spring, a young heifer or a smallish heifer, would she kind of run away from you a bit, or is it okay that you don't have too much of that?
Actually, when we built the parlour the first year, we had no place. Normally we trained the heifers through the parlour, so they came straight from the shed into the parlour.
Right.
And straight in, put the milkers on them and walk away. And we were dreading it, but there were no problem whatsoever. It's just that they're so relaxed. I think the biggest thing in any parlour is cows are getting squeezed.
Yes.
It has a bad effect, and they're not comfortable.
Okay.
But
And so there's rubber here then to dampen noise.
yes,
Yeah.
well, that's when it flicks up.
Yeah.
These are all up and in the flick back, so there's no noise.
Okay.
But it's one thing getting the cows in, but it's for the cows exiting in is the next big one, because if the cows are slow going out, it defeats the purpose of them coming in fast.
Right.
So when the cows are ready to go, it lifts up. So in the trough, it lifts up these bars here.
Yeah.
So that takes the cow's head out of the trough straight away.
Okay.
So that means she's no business of trying to go into the next trough, and they just start moving straight away again. And that's one of the big points of.
There's no reason for them to get distracted or slow down.
No, and they know once that comes up, they know they have no business, so they just move on.
Yeah.
And that has been. It's an awful simple design, but it's a big part of this parlour.
Yeah.
And the other thing is do it. 2 cows, even 3 cows if they're in a hurry, if they know they're going somewhere. But they're very quick to exit the parlour.
Right. Yeah.
Free as a bird in the sky, that is what you are. Breathe and you know you're alive. Feel the beat of your heart. Well, life is a crazy way of turning everything upside down. So move with the time that you have. The world will keep spinning round. Don't wait for tomorrow. Live for today. Keep chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
So you put your slotted drain then underneath here as well?
Yes, which is very important because, I mean, everything is washed this way and it's gone.
Right.
And it flows straight out to the tank. And it makes it very easy for washing.
Right.
And we done the same inside in the pit. We drain both sides of the pit as well.
Right.
Because when the cow, if she's going to do anything, it's down into the pit it's going to go.
I know. Feeders, as we're looking at the feeders then.
Yes, so the feeders are the DeLaval feeders. We can feed from any point along. Every unit has its own controls.
Okay.
And you can batch feed from any point, or you can top up again from any
Individually.
point. Individually, yeah.
Okay. And why not go for the pig feeder, say the more basic one, or had you preference for a bit more control, or?
Well, these are the feeders I bought with the Parlor. This is what I wanted. They weren't cheap, but they're a good feeder.
Yeah.
And the hoppers keep the ration perfect. They have no problem with blocking or anything.
Yeah.
And another feature of this Parlor as well. There's no birds coming into this Parlor. I think this is a big burden that the crows won't be going into the trucks, keeps them out of it. And our last Parlor, you could come in and it would be just like be after painting it white, they'd destroy it, and it's keeping the birds out.
They make a mess.
Yeah, they make a mess.
Yeah. So you have a ram on every 4 sections as such, or every 4 stalls of cows.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the capacity of them, but this would be fairly heavy. There's a fair weight in this.
Yes.
And
very good. So we'll have a look at the gates on the entry here, maybe.
the gates are air again, compressed air, and there's 4 control points back along the pit. So the gate is...
So you have the power to stop it?
Yeah, it will stop the gate.
It won't hurt somebody or whatever, yeah?
No.
Yeah. So this is the tank then outside, is it? Or
This tank here was the new tank that was put on.
Yeah, and the one beyond it is the one that you had previous.
So this is the new tank to accommodate the calving shed.
Yeah.
And that was the existing tank which governed the site that we couldn't start any closer.
Yeah. So you went back, I suppose what's nice here maybe as well, you went back an extra column with your shed as well.
We did, yeah.
With your covering the pit well.
We did, yeah, and well, that was for our own comfort as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you get the wind from the north or the northwest, it will blow in, but this way it doesn't. And the cows actually in the winter time, if it is raining, they be crowded here, and it keeps the Parlor nice and warm inside as well.
Yes. And I suppose, shortly we'll go through maybe your calving area, but again, the access with this gate here, freshly calved cows, it's a nice movement for them here in the morning or whatever.
In and out, yeah. It's like usually the freshly calved cows are in the last row, so you just, when you open the gate here and they're in, and there's no big distance, you don't have to be going up and bringing them out of another shed. It's done in minutes, seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we walk into the pit here, so your Parlour's falling back?
Yeah, Parlour's falling this way.
Yeah. And again,
normally they're falling the other way.
Yeah, but it suited the site here, I think you were saying earlier, was it?
Well, in this way, in the level of the slats, we couldn't fall forward because we'd be gone under the level, so we were able to fall this way to accommodate the flow this way.
Yes. Okay. So you have a lot of equipment back here as a result, anyway.
Yes, we have the receiver, the dump line, milk pump, and sanitary trap.
Okay.
And the controls there for purging the Parlor, and for the dump line.
Okay. The dump line, are you happy with it? To have it?
Oh yeah. Especially for in the springtime with we'll call it the waste milk, the bees things, and any cow that has to come off is sent straight to the calf house.
Yeah.
And has taken a lot of drudgery out of drawing milk or pumping milk even, because it's just dropped into the barrel below, and when you're finished milking, you just couple it back up and it washes with the Parlor, which washes all year round. It's live the whole time.
Yeah. So I suppose in the old Parlour you were putting it out with a bucket were you
2 5-gallon. We had jars and up the steps with 2 5-gallon drums.
Yeah.
Or in the finish we had a barrel filling it, and we were pumping it down, but that had to be washed, and it was all extra work.
Yes.
So
no going back. So with that is
no going back. No.
Yeah. So we look at, say, just in terms of the spec you went in on the machine. So
yes.
Did you have couple movers in the previous Parlour? in your parlour?
Once upon a time we had it. It started off as a 5-unit full wood, and in 1979 it was done a double up. There was 5 either side, and we had the Compsey. They were Mulholland Co-op made them, and they were, for at their time I suppose they were modern, but the double up didn't speed it up to making a whole lot that time. So in 1988 we extended Parlour out to 11 units, and we just had 11 units with jars.
Right.
And that was it.
Okay. So I suppose in terms of the jars you went, to keep on the similar line, you put in milk indicators here?
Yes, the milk indicators here, yeah, so it'll give you a 99% reading of what the cow is doing.
Yeah.
So it's visible, and it's important to see what cows are.
Okay. So this big blue switch here then, is that to activate your cluster mover?
Yes,
or is she on?
you can lock it on. It'll lock on if you want to keep it on the cow.
Yeah.
And it'll release it. Or if you want to take it off the cow, it'll take it off the cow as well.
Okay.
You can override it.
Okay.
And this is your dump line in as well. That's dump and milk.
Fine.
And that's it. Usually what we do if you had a cow with inhibitors, we'd always rinse this in percetic acid, and when we put it on the next cow, then we just let it run for maybe just a small bit, and then flick it up to make sure that it's gone out of the system.
Right.
And there's been no problems with it yet anyway.
So the control box here then, what functionality have you on there?
So in the box here, you have left and right. It is right now because the cows will be starting in the right season. So if we were feeding 4 is 2 kg, so you just keep your finger on it. That's just keep your finger on it, and that will batch feed them all, and just one flick will feed the cow individually.
Okay. Yeah.
And works dead simple. You know, when this Parlour was put in, I was afraid it to be complicated, but it's easy. It's like cycling a bike once you get going.
Yeah.
It's no bother.
Yeah.
So there are your controls from the gate and
they're at either end.
Either end, and they're up. There's 2 lots, and there's 4 on either side.
Okay, I see them here along. Yeah. So you have a lot of control over the whole.
Yeah,
which is important for a long pit.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So we prep the cows. We foam them first, and we always wipe them with a paper towel, and then we just spray them afterwards.
Okay.
Just try to keep our set count under control.
Yeah, roughly what would they average in as a result of all that?
Last year was slightly up, but we were still under 100.
Yeah.
This year we're doing better. It's come back down now again, but at the moment now we're around 90.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And like we'd say we would have the odd millionaire inside them, but we have as such, there's no problem.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a reward for the effort.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Yeah. Especially the foaming is like cluster dipping, because it's sanitizing every cow before you.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're swapping over the milkers.
Yes.
But everything that will help makes it better. Like
it does.
You know, yeah.
The cluster then, you happy with the cluster?
These are the new cluster. These are the Avanza cluster. Very light.
Yeah.
Extremely light. Very quick to milk out the cow, and they do milk out the cow.
Yeah.
And they're good for 5,000 milkins, so we get the year out of them.
Yes.
And you know, that's if you want to replace them, then it's like a light bulb.
Yeah.
It's a cartridge.
And the whole lot gets replaced?
The whole lot gets replaced, yeah.
It's a fast job.
And
so when you'll be milking here in the next hour or whatever.
Yes.
Will all the clusters come off, or have you to pull them off yourself first?
We take them off because they're a very fine cluster, so we just pop them off.
Yeah.
We don't want to have premature any tearing or anything, so we just take them off.
I know.
But first thing we do is with the Parlour, just pop them off, and then you're ready to go nearly.
Okay.
Yeah, with the auto washer, it's ready to go.
Yeah. Lights wise, I just see you've a say, your halogen light of old or whatever at every second day, is that right?
That's
On
right,
either
yeah.
side.
So they're down here, so we've, at this level, you've no shadows.
Yeah,
It's very well lit,
yeah,
and sure, it's important that you see what you're doing.
yeah. And you've lots of skylights in the roof as well, I see.
Lots of skylights, the bright parlour,
Yeah.
and as well as that, then with the roof, it doesn't get very warm in here.
Okay,
You know, with the warm weather now last week there, it was fine and comfortable.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So what kind of output have you in how long does it take to milk?
About an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
214 cows.
Okay,
So that's eight and a quarter rows.
right,
So it's quick, like, because you've 52 in the parlour at any one time. So when the next row comes, the next two rows come, then you've 104.
Yeah.
So it takes cows very quick through the parlour.
right,
And for the cows themselves as well, the cows are gone.
yeah.
So
They're not hanging around.
they're not hanging around, no.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.